Welcome back here. PM Show Weekend Edition. I'm Michael Horn. That is Robert Conrad, our guest. The greatest host of all time, ladies and gentlemen. Pat Sajak from Wheel of Fortune had for a year and a half on CBS, one of those great night shows that you, Robert Conrad, ran. What kind of a guest, Pat Sajak, was this guy, Robert Conrad?
Forget about me. Let's talk about
asking
Pat.
the question.
I won't talk about Bob specifically because I know he doesn't want to do that. But I will say that his type is a great type of guest because. One of the hardest things in doing a talk show, as you know from doing this, is people come on and they want to do their plug, and then it's kind of canned, and it's hard to get anything out of them. And as you know, Mike, Bob says what's on his mind, and that's great. I mean, you can't ask for anything more.
Thanks for that, Pat. I like you telling the truth, but there's a rumor here, and I want you and these 5 million people I'm so proud to have listening to hear. I heard that you, a guy from the southwest side
sticking in his
of
craw,
Chicago,
Pat. It's sticking in his craw.
Is a fan of the Dodgers. That can't be.
Well, I've been out here a long time. I've been out in L.A. since '77. So
but how long were you in Chicago, Pat?
I actually less time. I spent 20 years in Chicago, and I've been in L.A. for over 30 years.
There you go.
Any difference.
After the same with my dad. My dad was a Cub fan, and then he became a Dodger fan.
You know something even more, to me, odder, that people from Chicago find odder? I was a fan of both the Cubs and the White Sox.
Yes.
We lived fairly near Comiskey Park.
Yeah.
Because we could hear the fireworks from the scoreboard at night. But I also like the Cubs. And I never understood why you had to like one or the other.
Oh yeah, in Chicago that was the deal, right?
North side
you're
Cubs, South side White Sox.
Yeah.
And I never understood. They're in different leagues. They didn't have interleague play back then. Now there's a rivalry, and I understand it a little more. But I don't know why a Cub fan had to hate the White Sox or vice versa. I was from Chicago. I was proud of them both. I rooted for them, and still do, but I don't get Chicago very much, so it's mostly Dodger games I go to. And then when we're in the East, it's the Orioles and then the Washington Capitals. And tonight I'm going to an L.A. Kings game. So
there you see Kings tonight, and you're a big hockey fan, and a lot of people will say, "Hey, what's wrong with the Blackhawks?" The Kings are on fire. Am I right, Pat?
Well, they've stumbled a little bit, but it looks like they're going to make the playoffs. And the Hawks have stumbled a little bit. I think they've lost 2 or 3 in a row, and they're playing the Kings tonight. And But boy, it's been great to see that franchise come back because they had spent years and years in the doldrums, playing the Blackhawks, and that's such a great stadium when things are cooking. And right now, things look good. They have some great young players, and they should be good for a long time.
Pat, do you remember Eddie Hubbard?
Oh, sure.
Dude, he was married to my mom.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and my mom also went with one of the Comiskys. I can't remember his first name now. That owned
Mr. Park, Comiskey Park, wasn't it?
Was it Chuck?
I don't remember, but anyway, he owned. His father owned
Comiskey Park.
Comiskey Park.
Yeah.
So Pat, when he mentioned Eddie Hubbard, your first, I didn't realize this, did a little research on you. You won like a contest. I used to work with Penny Biondi, Dick Biondi's daughter-in-law, and you got on WS Radio by winning this contest.
Yeah,
Is that what started it?
I was in high school, and people grew up in Chicago in the '60s. I mean, Biondi's still around. He's amazing.
Yes.
But Dick was the big guy in rock and roll radio and on WLS, and so he started this thing, a guest teen disc jockey, and you sent in a postcard, and if he drew your name, you could go on with him for an hour. So the first week they did it, and some kid went on with it, and then they drew for the second week, and it was me. So my first radio was on WLS, which sounds impressive, but it was great fun. I was on with Biondi for an hour, selling blue jeans or whatever he was selling.
And then you went to Nashville, and you were at the legendary WSM. Did you play country music?
Yeah, I didn't. It was strange. WSM, yeah, that was their thing. But in the afternoons, they played. It was just sort of adult contemporary kind of stuff. It was not country. But living there and working, I worked there for 5 years. I loved Nashville, and it really learned to love country and country people, and they're good folks, and they're an interesting part of the entertainment industry because I think more than any other, they really care about their fans.
They are loyal. They
connect with their fans.
Yes.
The fans connect with them. I mean, it's in this. I guess the sports analogy would be NASCAR.
I'm thinking the same thing. You're right. It's like NASCAR in music. That's right.
Yeah. So it was a great place to work. I loved it there. In fact, when the L.A. offer came, I was working in Nashville, and I was offered a job in Los Angeles. I had to give it I had to give it some serious thought. The idea of leaving Nashville was not appealing to me. I'm glad I did, and it worked out for me, obviously. But it was a tough decision. I love that town.
Now, both my parents are from Chicago, but in Los Angeles. I am, of course, a native Los Angelino. I do recall back in the 70s, you were a weatherman and the local Channel 4 news team. That was like you were one of the hot guys there on the news.
I was, yeah, but just before Wheel, and it was great because in L.A., as you know, about 8 months a year there is no weather, so it was a pretty easy gig. But I had fun. It was a big jump from L.A. to Nashville local television. And when you're working in local TV in Nashville, you'll understand this. In a way, you're auditioning every night because the producers, like Merv Griffin, sit at home, watch the local news. I was doing the weather, and I was doing a local talk show, and Merv liked my stuff, and that's why I'm here 25 years later. So it's a funny business where funny things happen.
Yeah, and working with Merv, one other question. I mean, he's no longer with us.
Yeah.
The guy really had a good genius sense about him for putting stuff together, right?
You know, he when he had successes, they were huge, and he had some failures too. He'd be the first to tell you. But he did everything by his gut. I mean, if he liked something, he went with it, and that's just the way he operated. I will say, Merv sold Wheel and Jeopardy years ago, more than 20 years ago. People don't realize. But it was good for me because when he sold it, he was no longer my boss. He was my friend, and he was a great friend, and we had a great relationship. We would, and when you traveled with Merv, and we'd get on his yacht and go to the Mediterranean and spend a couple of weeks, and with my family, and he was so gracious and so generous. But when you travel with Merv, you know, because everybody knew Merv, every actor, every royalty, every politician, people would come to his boat to pay homage to him, no matter where we were. So I met everybody in the world through him, and he was just a great friend and a great guy. And really, it still seems odd to me that he's not here. I'm sure he's hiding out somewhere, and he's going to pop in.
Yeah, well, you're a great guy, Sajak. We're going into commercial. I want to thank you, and I really appreciate it.
Pat, you're one of the greats. You really are.
Well, 25 years.
It's good to be with you guys. It's just fun, and anytime, Bob, it's good to hear your voice, and keep up the work. I'll be listening.
Can we meet at the hot
Pat.
dog stand at the Staples Center later?
As long as if it's Vienna beef and you got the poppy seed.
All right. I got a place for both you guys. It's in Burbank, where they do the sauerkraut and the red cabbage.
Yeah, I don't eat sauerkraut. Thank you.
No, Mike.
Sauerkraut.
Bob, talk to him.
Sauerkraut and
He doesn't.
pork. Come on.
He doesn't know.
No, talk to him.
Yeah, I'll get to him after commercial.
I got to teach you two
Take care,
guys a
guys.
couple of things.
All right, thanks,
you, Pat
Pat.
Sajak. Boy, you're not going to have a pork and sauerkraut with me either?
I like Pat. You know what? He knew commercial was coming. And
he's a pro. He does this all the time.
But I'm saying, you don't have to say, well, he knew it was coming. It came. Now we talked to Jim in Cincinnati, and
What's
then
coming?
we hear Ernie.
We going to a break? Is that what you're saying? I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah, something like that. We got to get Ernie.
Be right back. Come to quality. Come to luxury. Relax at the Fountain Grove Inn Hotel and Conference Center in Santa Rosa, California.